Let me change this to round 5. Juego cinco. So, this game had some brilliant moves. Yes, you heard me right. Moves, plural. I played 2 brilliant moves in this over the board game. The tactics were beautiful. The mate was beautiful, and I'm very excited to show them to you. E4, Caro-Kann, C6. Oh, potentially, methinks a Tartakower? Got a bad feeling about this. Depends who. Weber72 community sub. Thank you. Appreciate it. Subs for great tactics and brilliant moves. Love to see it. So I know this theory. We're in a Caro. They take, I take. I was hoping for a Tartakower, but that's fine. That's fine. So you gotta go. Nova, no! 15 more minutes, I swear, and you'll see a great tactic. But if not, it'll be on YouTube, and I hope you have a good night. Oh, thank you, Fool's Mate. I super appreciate that. The Nook, thank you for the follow. Guys, keeping my OBS overlay honest, and I sincerely very much appreciate it. Okay, so let's get this opening out of the way. All book moves so far. Pinning the knight, yes, this is theory. Unpinning with the bishop, yes, this is theory. Closing the pawn chain, kicking a bishop. We do take here. Yes, this is theory. It is the right move in this particular case. So they take back. I develop a knight. They castle. I debated a little bit on this move, I'll be honest, because it's always a question. Where does your dark squared bishop go? Do you put it on e7? Do you put it on d6? And, you know, I was playing another kid. He was probably like, I don't know, 10-year-old boy. And kids, I've noticed, love pinning things, especially low-rated kids. And that's not a knock. That's just like observation. And so I figured e7 for my opponent was a better idea to potentially account for some pins here. And wouldn't you know it, they go for it anyway. So I kick that bishop, and then they take. Oh boy. I'm excited because now my bishop has a great diagonal. Great diagonal with eyes on a underdefended pawn. Am I right? Rook grabs the e-file, which isn't an accuracy. They should have moved the knight to e2 to add a defender to this pawn. But they didn't. And I didn't spend much time calculating because after round 4, my brain, my emotions were trashed. I just wanted to get the frick out of this tournament. So I was making a lot faster moves this game, which meant I grabbed this pawn. Not quite the right move here because they can grab that pawn. I completely overlooked the fact that e6 is pinned, so that pawn was free for the taking. Well spotted from my opponent here. I should have castled first, and then that idea would have been a lot stronger. But castling here was best. They get the b pawn, but that's fine because I can threaten the bishop. They have to move the bishop out, and then I can grab their b pawn, and they have really ugly split pawns here. So kind of a tactical oversight from me with that early pawn grab. Not there. Not there. Where were we? Here. No. Here. So a little premature with the pawn grab, but all's well that ended well. Now here. I spent a little bit of time thinking. Do I take the rook? If I take the rook, it concedes the open file to my opponent, and I didn't really want to do that. Oh, how do you pronounce your name? I'm going to try really hard. Sobhagya Patel 12. Thank you for the follow. So Engine thinks that I should have taken here, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to just completely drop an open file that I had claimed to. So I brought it back. So, Bhagya Patel, thank you. I appreciate that. And I hope you're doing well. So I drop my rook back, and they line up a queen. I think that maybe they were thinking some kind of h7 attack, but the problem is, and you know, aggressive little chess playing boys can be very sneaky with their tactics. So I wasn't discounting any move he made. So I made sure that this was an empty threat. And it was. It was a very empty threat. When I play with viewers, yes, Wednesday. I have a viewer arena this coming Wednesday. So stay tuned about this time and we will play some Blitz to see who comes out on top. Okay, so I decide to start to attack some pieces. Lining a rook up, I realize I conceded the open file anyway, but I digress. That's probably why this was an inaccuracy. Best move here would have been a similar idea, but doing so with a better piece. And here's where my opponent starts to have the wrong ideas. I think that he was trying to put pressure on d4. The problem with his approach, though, is who's leading the attack. The queen is leading the attack. And who's my first defender? The bishop. So his attack has no teeth yet. And now a5 is very, very strong. I am threatening to win his knight on c3 because I have 2 attackers to his 1 defender. And he can't easily defend that knight. And unfortunately, he tries to defend it this way. This was a huge mistake. Because now the tactical sense is like alarm bells are going off for me. Like good alarm bells, though. And the reason why the alarm bells are going off is there is something here. There's something here, and the queen just feels very vulnerable on d3. And where am I from? I am from California in the USA. And I'm not on Instagram. Well, yeah, I'm not really on Instagram. Can't keep up with social media, to be honest. Now, in this position, Engine thinks that taking on c3 is the best move, but I decide I wanted to put a little more pressure with my rook d8 first, because there's so many opportunities that I felt like I had time to make this extra threat move, because it's going to be winning something. Engine thinks I should have taken here. Okay, Engine thinks that it should have taken here. And I think my opponent at this point, yes, my opponent offered me a draw at this point, and I have never so quickly in my life said no. So he thought a little bit, and he decides bishop d5 is a chance. Not the best chance. Best chance would have been queen d2. Water with another community sub. Thank you. Very appreciate it. So his idea here is kind of offering a bishop sacrifice of some kind to remove the discovery on the queen. But unfortunately for my opponent, this doesn't work. It doesn't work for a couple different reasons. And I thought a long time about this because in past over the board games, I have miscalculated capture sequences that I finish and then I blink and realize, crap, I'm down material. So I spent so much time ensuring that this was actually going to pan out for me. And my hands were like, I was like, you know, anyone else do that over the board where you're just like trying to like visualize things so your fingers are like, blip, 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 blip. And I realized I could win a lot of material here, which is a brilliant move because it appears on the surface that you're sacrificing a rook for a knight. They would ask for a draw offer just before resigning. Yeah, I mean, I think my opponent knew he was being cheeky with that offer. um, but, 11-year-old kid, I can't blame him. So queen takes back, and here's why that's such a spicy move for me to make. A double brilliant with a check is it's a fork of the king and the queen. So if you take with the rook, I win the queen a couple different ways. And just beautiful position because even after white responds, there is no counterplay for them because my rook is still defended. So all of my pieces are coordinated beautifully here. I take with the queen. They attempt to challenge my queen here so that they have a little bit of tempo because, like, look, they're down a little bit of an exchange, right? They have a rook to my queen. But here's where it's the nail in the coffin. My queen escapes any threat the rooks can make. The king has to flee. And I grab more material. And my opponent doesn't resign, which that's fair. Keep on fighting. And it did allow me the opportunity to look for a very beautiful mate. I move my king. He threatens to win f7. And I knew I was winning this game, so I wasn't like necessarily looking for best moves here. So I went bishop e5 check, with my idea being that after he responds to the check, I'll support my pawn chain. Engine thinks that actually letting the pawn go would have been stronger, and I'll show you that line here. This is not what happened in the game. But Engine says queen e1 is better. And I was like, how is that better? It drops a pawn. It drops a pawn momentarily. We actually intentionally line up the queen with the rook. And if they take, we take this way. And of course, if they try for shenanigans, there's mate incoming. So they basically have to take. I didn't spot that though. I went bishop e5 check and created my little bishop pawn chain. He's attempting some kind of counterplay here, and I anticipated this, that he would try kicking my bishop, but actually, f4 is a huge mistake because now my bishop can slide one more square down the diagonal with a looming mate threat on g1. So it's over. It's so over. Mate in 4, says the engine. So my opponent does make best move here to give his king a square to breathe, but it's incoming. He makes that move. I make best move, lining up for a supported attack on g3. King preemptively moves to g4. Technically, actually, this wasn't best move. What was best move here? The quiet h5. And the reason h5 is best is it makes it so the king can't run anywhere. But I didn't play that. Instead, king goes here, queen comes up, and what a beautiful mate. Queen h3, checkmate. The reason I think this mate is so beautiful is because this pawn, which just feels like it's floating out in space, is actually an essential part of the mating net. This pawn, an essential part of the mating net. King, an essential part of the mating net. Like, all of my pieces are just synchronized here. And to me, I was really pleased that I found this mate because I've been doing a lot of Laszlo Polgar's mate in 2 puzzles, and kind of visualizing this piece coordination like this felt very Polgar-esque. And this was the end of the tournament to me. I got a win on this game. Save the best for last. Yeah, this game was beautiful tactically for me. Complete annihilation for my opponent. His friends kept walking by to spectate, and they just kept like shaking their heads. But I'm so happy I stayed for round 5, partially just to see through what I started, but also because if I had withdrawn from the tournament like I had wanted to for a few moments, I wouldn't have had this win. And yeah, I thought this was very beautiful. And I'm glad that you guys agree. GG for sure. So let's look at the eval here. Pretty accurate from me. I had a miss and a couple inaccuracies and 2 brilliant moves.